Okay. Well, welcome everybody. Happy Power Play Tuesday. I will be your host today, your presenter, your educator, whatever you want to call me. My name is Collin Taylor. I am one of the IRA specialists here at Quest Trust Company. We also have the lovely Rebecca Parker on with us, who will be moderating today. So please go ahead and as we kind of get started, I'll explain this a bit more. But I want this to be as interactive as possible. I love questions, so keep them coming. Rebecca will certainly get those up on the screen for us to answer. And we'll kind of take questions throughout and certainly have some time to answer some more at the end as well. So without further ado, let me go ahead and pull up my presentation. So today we're going to be talking about how anyone can build wealth in 2024, and specifically some strategies you can use and how you can incorporate your self-directed IRAs and alternative investing in your portfolio, right, in your investments as a whole. So for those of you that are not too familiar with Quest, which is, I would assume, probably most of you, we are a self-directed IRA custodian. We consider ourselves the premier self-directed IRA custodian. And what we do, what our services provide, is administering IRA accounts for the purposes of alternative investments, alternative assets, or things on the private side, right? So what we see our clients investing into are like real estate, single family, multifamily, short-term, long-term rentals, tax sales, right? Rehabs, all of those apply. Promissory notes, oil and gas and mineral right investments is a popular one. Private placements and I guess more so like private equity, right? Small companies, cryptocurrency, and honestly so much more. Those are a few of the more popular investments that we see here, but just to kind of give you a frame of reference for what we do, for those of you who aren't too familiar with us. One thing that we really do take a lot of pride in here at Quest is our customer service. So you can even test it after the webinar right now if you really want to. If you were to call our number right now, which I'll share with y'all at the end, or you could look it up on Google, you would probably within a few minutes or almost immediately get connected with a live representative, because we do not have a automated phone service, right? When you call us, you actually do talk to a Quest employee, somebody that is in our office, whether it be in Houston, Austin, or Dallas. And if they don't know how to answer your question, they'll certainly get you to somebody who does. So not only that, but our processing times on most everything that we do here is very quick. We boast about 24 to 48 hours for just about all of our processes. So like I said, the customer service, the, I guess, expediency in which we process things, those are two really important things that we take a lot of pride in. So we also offer top self-directed IRA education, whether it's coming from myself, one of our other IRA specialists, experts, and guest speakers that we bring on. There really is a ton of educational resources, from webinar recordings to blog posts to, from articles, right? In-person education, which we'll talk some more about towards the end of the webinar, and kind of some of the resources and how you can find them. But education is really, really a big part of Quest. We put on 2 webinars every week. One is noon Central Time on Tuesdays. The second is noon Central Time on Saturdays. So we do really try to bring some dynamic education and options to the industry as well, and to not only our client base, but I would say just the general public, in trying to do more educating. So that's a little bit about us. One thing as well is, Quest does not provide any sort of tax, legal, investment, or deal structuring advice. We also don't endorse any product, any investment sponsor, right? We are purely doing this for educational purposes. So we really hope that you'll take plenty away from this But please understand too that it is very important for you to do your own research, confer with your financial professionals, whether it be an accountant, wealth advisor, investment manager, attorney, right? Those people are all still very, very important. Okay. So now let's really dive into, I guess, the meat and potatoes for today. Tips on how to build wealth in 2024 and where these alternative investments and self-directed IRAs can really fit in with all of this. So I think I wanted to really start off with making the most obvious point, right? In order to build wealth, you must spend less than what you make. I think that that's all pretty self-explanatory for most of us, I'm sure. But with that, I'm sorry. Yeah, Rebecca, let me make a comment on that too. If y'all, like I said, I want this to be really, really interactive. So y'all please post your questions there in the comments, where Rebecca just actually made a comment about that. Put them in the chat. Rebecca will get them up to me and we'll get them answered pretty much just as soon as possible. Okay, so today's word is going to be residual value. Residual value is, the way I guess I want y'all to think about this is not the value that it's worth now, but the value that it could be worth in the future, whether it's a real estate asset or maybe private company stock or your personal house, right? There are a ton of ways in which you can apply residual value. More commonly in accounting, it's known as the value of something after it has been fully depreciated. So all this to say, one very important, I guess, topic or frame of mind is how to add value to these items, right? And this is, I would say, pretty important when you're talking about spending and spending in the right ways. So think about this more intrinsically as providing value to yourself, right? To your investments, and how can you do that? So a few other points that I want to make on spending versus saving. Technology is a really, really big one, and kind of how it's shaped our spending habits. So always chasing after that next big thing. I think this is something that's always been a theme, right? People want the next big thing, but in this capitalistic market with the, I guess, rapid changing in technology, the growth that we're seeing, especially as of late, everybody always wants the new iPhone or the next TV or gaming console, or even cars, right? That's it can certainly extend there too. All of these things never have the same value, or never have as high as a value as they did when you first bought it. So I think that's probably a good concept to remind yourself when trying to fight some of those urges, right? The emergence of AI, I think, is maybe indirectly affecting spending as well. It's probably one thing that is creating a lot more access or ease to get some of these new things, right? A lot of people are using AI, maybe not directly with their shopping and things, but it's, I would say, just making technology and making the world in general more accessible, regardless of what it is, right? And regardless of how you feel about artificial intelligence, I mean, it's here. People have been using it. People feel adversely against it. So it's, I guess it really all depends on your thought process, right? And how you feel about artificial intelligence. But all that to say, it certainly has, I think, affected spending, right, in general amongst the greater population. So along with this, fighting retail therapy. It certainly is okay to have nice things. I think you really just want to prioritize what those things are, okay? Whether it's you want a new phone or a new TV, or if you want to put it in terms of investing, maybe that's, it could be retail therapy to some people, but in terms of investing in a real estate property, maybe you're doing a rehab, is it best to I don't know, maybe say knock down a wall and take out like a half bath to expand the kitchen? Or should you maybe put more money into the landscaping, right? Those are certainly trade-offs and things you have to consider um, with any kind of spending. Okay. So budgeting, I think, is going to be really, really important as you try to really build wealth and save for retirement. And this is, I think, something that a lot of people know they have to do, but either they don't know how to do it, they don't want to learn how to do it, or they're just not very good at it, quite frankly. So I can certainly, like if y'all want to reach out to me after this and pick my brain about budgeting, would be happy to tell you, about my personal experiences and some of the things that I find work for me. But really, I think the best way to learn how to budget and set a good budget that you will follow is doing your own research, right? There are tons of different approaches and strategies to budgeting, top down versus bottom up, versus using different spending ratios from things that are necessities to wants to needs, right? All of those, are an important part of a budget. But there are so many different strategies. I would really encourage y'all to do your own research, look into what's going to work best for you, and try different things out. There are a ton of resources and applications you can find as well, like on online, on your phone, the App Store, right? There are applications that you can use to help with your budgeting, and some that are honestly very, very, I would say, beneficial. So that is kind of where I would start with building wealth. Now let's kind of define the problem a bit more and some of the solutions to these things, and really get into the nitty gritty of why people have trouble creating a sizable wealth bucket, creating a sizable retirement. Okay. So problem number one is people are scared to save and invest. And I don't think so much this applies to saving just in general, but maybe saving for your investments. Now, a lot of times we find people are scared for a multitude of reasons, but this often surrounds challenging yourself, right? It's important, so important to get out of your comfort zone. And when it comes to maybe learning a new style of real estate investing or alternative investments in general, that can be scary, right? You're getting into a very niche form of investing, something that may be brand new to you. And so that can be challenging. But it's important to get out of your comfort zone, whether it's learning about a new investment strategy, whether you need to get out of the house and go to that networking event. Maybe for some of you who are a bit more introverted, going to that networking event and meeting potential sponsors or business partners, finding, say, like a vendor or somebody. You never know what you're going to find, right? And so I think those are a few good examples of challenging yourself, getting out of your comfort zone, and how that can kind of propel you to be a better investor. Being aware of our fears really helps us know what we need to overcome. And this is important too. Taking a good long look in the mirror, figuring out where your fears are. What are your pain points? What's holding you back from taking those next steps? And I think once we can identify that, it really helps us to kind of figure out what a solution is and go forward, right? Problem number two is spending too much versus saving. This one, is, I think, fairly straightforward, and we talked about a lot of this with the budgeting. But I would encourage y'all to do your own research as far as budgeting goes and figure out what is going to work best for you. Set a budget, right? Number three, not knowing the right steps to take. And this is where people can really fall off the rails. Either you're somebody new, let's again put it in terms of real estate investing. For somebody new, maybe they don't know how to get started. They don't know how they should use their self-directed IRA, or they don't know what kind of real estate investing they want to do. For the more seasoned people, it could be when to make that next big step. And we see this all of the time. People get very complacent in their investing. They have a few real estate properties that are cash flowing, and they're kind of comfortable with that, right? They'll take the money from that, use it for their expenses, use it to pay property taxes, insurance, right? And it's kind of self-sufficient. But if you really do want to achieve more wealth, more retirement building, it's important to not get complacent. Continue to, save, absolutely, right? But take those savings and reinvest it. And that's, I think, where a lot of people do fall off, right? They'll get started, they'll buy their first real estate property, and after that, they'll just not know where to go from there. So it's important to stay very active, and that's really, I would say, too, where your network, your real estate network, comes into play. Your investment network, your financial network, right? Call it anything you want, but it plays a very important role in continued investing. Okay. So the next one here is how to stay on track and not lose motivation. I think it's really, really important, especially now that we've just, gone into a new year. Something I really always like to do at the end of the year is do a look back. Look back at all of the investments I made last year. What do I still have on the books going into the next year? And what was successful for me? What worked? Okay, what were the good choices you made last year, and what were the bad ones? Do a little self-reflection. It's so important to get experience from these investments, both good and bad. You're learning. Everybody is learning as they go, even the very, very seasoned and experienced investors. You're always learning. You should always be trying to better yourself, right? I like to say that I am a lifetime learner. So I think that's a really important point in all of this, right? Continue to learn, have takeaways from your investments, and self-reflect. So another important part of this is, what could you have done differently? How do you take those bad experiences and use them going forward? So focusing your efforts on the investments you believe will be profitable. Take a look at what you're good at, and we'll have a case study that kind of identifies some of this and puts it in a more real estate perspective. But find the things that you're good at, whether that is the, DIY or decorative side of a rehab, or maybe you have a lot of experience outside working with your hands, right? Maybe doing the rehab yourself. There's different parts of real estate investing. Maybe you're good on the books, right? The financials. So that's something that could certainly come into play as well. Realistic and specific investment goals. There are plenty of ways to set goals, but I think, to not only make sure they are realistic, but specific. Quantify those goals, whether it's something you want to do by a certain date, or a certain, number that you want to hit in your portfolio this year, right? There are, all different ways you can set goals, but making them realistic and specific will really take that to the next level. Understanding the importance of diversifying your investment portfolio. Again, we'll talk about that as we get into these self-directed IRAs and utilizing these for tax advantages. So we're gonna kind of transition now into self-direction, how to utilize these accounts, and really I would say the entire business model of Quest, what we do, how we enable investors to use their retirement funds for the better, or maybe for the things that they're more familiar with. And Roth conversions kind of go along with that. I'll speak to those here more in a second. So what is a self-directed IRA? Now that we've gone and talked about some of the tips and how you can save, how you can budget, where to start, okay? Let's kind of give you some knowledge on the IRA side, or the retirement side of your investing. So not a lot of people, especially real estate investors in particular, consider their retirement. right? They don't work, your typical 9 to 5 where they have a 401k that they're saving for, every year, right? That's being invested for them. A lot of times these solo entrepreneurs or, self-employed people, this is just not at top of mind, I guess. So a self-directed IRA is one in which the IRA owner can direct all of the investments in the account. There really is no legal distinction between the IRAs that Quest holds, what we consider to be self-directed, and an IRA that you would find anywhere else. We use that term self-directed purely for marketing purposes to kind of show the distinction in the investments that you can hold. So we don't do anything in the public stock market. Our investors, our clients are all deciding their investments on the private side. They tell us, hey, I want to purchase this particular real estate property or invest into private stock with this company or lend on a promissory note to so-and-so, right? They're letting us know what it is that they want to do. We just help them more so to facilitate it and essentially enabling them to make these investments not only with their retirement funds, but with the tax advantages as well. So what are the benefits of a self-directed IRA? Diversification is really a big one when it comes to, I guess, comparing these investments to things that are more traditional assets, right? Stocks, bonds, mutual funds, CDs, ETFs, life insurance policies, right, is another way to invest, although that could be considered more alternative too. But the way that I typically explain it, think about this in terms of like your more traditional stock portfolio or stocks and bonds, okay? You might have that split, you may have an investment manager handling it, or you might do it yourself, but it could be, the perfect split for you of like value versus growth stocks and the right stock to bond ratio and having some domestic and some international. But until you really have some money taken out of the market and put into some things that are a little bit less affected by stock market volatility, I tend to think that you're really not truly diversified, because it's almost like putting your eggs in different parts of the same basket. Till you get some money out of the public sector and can put it into some more alternative things, right? You may not be truly diversified. So consider that. The second benefit is going to be the tax savings. And I kind of want to come back to this one after we talk about the different account types. But just to give you a general idea of the savings you can have with these accounts, it really is no different if I want to buy a real estate property and hold it for 5 years. Or I guess you can compare that to like purchasing Apple stock and holding that for 5 years. Really is the same thing. If that stock is appreciating, it's going to appreciate tax deferred, right? Or maybe even where you can actually take distributions from the account tax-free. So tax-free growth potentially. It would work the same way with a real estate property. I can hold that property for 5 years. It might appreciate by $100,000. Now that is all tax deferred growth coming back to my IRA account when I sell. The third one here is going to be social investing. And this can be investing maybe in your local market, finding properties that you can rehab, and helping to kind of, rebuild some of the real estate in your area. This could be government housing, right, for people that are like Section C housing. We see some people investing into that kind of real estate as well. There are a ton of different ways to socially invest, right? And then the fourth one is investing in what you know best, especially for real estate investors. And this may not apply to everybody, and that's okay, because you're here getting the education, learning more about what you don't know, and trying to take those next steps. It's all about getting started, guys. Even if you don't know this kind of investing just yet. But for those that do, having the ability to take money maybe from that old 401k or other IRAs that you have elsewhere and invest it in what you know how to do can be really, really crucial. Okay. So now I mentioned that I kind of wanted to go through these account types before I really get into the tax benefits. And specifically, I want to make a distinction between these two accounts here. So there are really 7 different plans that we offer, 2 of which, and I guess it's broken down into 3 different categories. The first being personal plans. So traditional IRA versus Roth IRA. These really are very, very similar accounts when we're talking about like the requirements to set one up, the contribution limits, the ability to contribute. Where they differ is the tax benefits. And they're really on opposite ends of the spectrum of tax savings. So traditional IRAs are what we refer to as tax deferred accounts. Or ones where you put in pre-tax money, so you're not paying money on the taxes going in. All of that money can grow tax deferred until eventually the money is going to come out, right? You're going to need it in your retirement for whatever kind of expenses. You're going to take a withdrawal from that account, and that's when the money gets taxed. Not only the contributions, but the growth. So all of it is being taxed on the back end. The Roth IRA is almost the opposite, where you're paying taxes on the front end. So here, when you make the contributions into the plan, and technically speaking, it still grows tax deferred. But there are some exceptions that you can meet with the Roth IRA. And this is sort of why people refer to them as tax-free savings accounts or tax-free investment accounts. Because you can potentially take out all of that money from the Roth IRA, even the growth, the investment return, which you've never paid taxes on, and take all of that money out totally tax-free. I'm going to say that one more time, totally tax-free. That is honestly huge, right? And something that not a whole lot of people think you can do with real estate. Tax-free on real estate, man, I mean, especially for those of you that understand it or are learning about it, if I have 3 different properties, rental properties that I have cash flowing for 30 years in my Roth IRA, eventually, I mean, that's really going to build up. And maybe you're going to take that, like we talked about before, not just saving it, but continuing to reinvest it. And that's where we get into like compound interest and building the account faster. That's how you really, really build a retirement bucket. Okay. So avoiding those taxes really helps with compounding and investment return. But I guess to not get too sidetracked. So the Roth IRA, you put in contributions that have been taxed, it grows. And as long as there's a couple different requirements you meet, you can take out all of that money tax-free. So really the 2 most common are that you have had the Roth IRA opened and funded for 5 years. And the second is that you have met the requirement of age 59 and a half. There's a few others, but those are really the 2 most common requirements or qualifications for taking tax-free distributions from the Roth IRA. One other thing I really want to point out with these are what we call Roth conversions. So there are a lot of strategies when it comes to converting money from a pre-tax account to a post-tax account. And a lot of times where a CPA or some kind of tax planner can really be helpful or beneficial in determining, when is the right time, how much should you be converting. But moving money from a pre-tax account to a post-tax account has so many advantages because now you can use that same bucket of money and grow it. Like I said, tax deferred technically, but potentially tax-free distributions on those funds. Another thing about the Roth IRA that's really nice compared to the traditional is it does not have any what they call required minimum distributions. Because in the traditional IRA, you didn't pay taxes on the money going in. I mean, eventually Uncle Sam he's going to want his cut of that, right? So there's an age limit that the IRS puts on these pre-tax accounts that you have to start taking distributions. Since the Roth IRA, you've already done that. There's really no limit. You can continue to grow the account until the day you die. And some people even use this as like a legacy, right? A estate building tool, because you don't have to take distributions from the plan. So other types of accounts that we offer, the second category is employer plans. So a SEP IRA, a simple IRA, and a solo 401k. These really are more geared towards, like I mentioned, the solo entrepreneur, the self-employed person who has their own company and just doesn't, they don't have your typical job with a 401k where they can save. These plans give you much greater contribution limits. If you look back at the traditional and Roth, the personal plans. So the contribution limits were increased this year just slightly. So it's $7,000 or $8,000 depending on your age. The typical base contribution limit is $7,000 for 2024. For those who are over age 50, the IRS allows a catch-up contribution. Not like ketchup as in ketchup and mustard, but a catch up, right? You're trying to catch up to make more contributions. So at age 50, you can make a $1,000 catch-up contribution for a total of $8,000. Whereas the contribution limits with these employer plans could be, it does kind of depend on the type of plan and, if it allows for catch-up contributions and how you're making contributions in the plan, because sometimes it can come from the employer, it can come from the employee, it might be a mixture of the two. But generally we're talking about like upwards of $75,000 potentially that you can contribute into these employer plans. So it really is beneficial for self-employed people. Like I said, they have a company to sponsor it a lot of times. And this solo 401k is one that is a less, I would say, well-known type of account. And actually something that we are trying to not only provide education, but also revolutionize. We recently just launched our brand new solo 401k platform. And if y'all have not heard some of the benefits and tools and I guess software that comes with all of this, I would check it out on our website. But I don't want to spend too much time on this. Essentially, though, it does help with all of the record keeping and the bookkeeping and management of the solo 401k that typically was left to the trustee or left up to the employer to handle. So if you think this situation could apply to you, I highly recommend you talk to an IRA specialist, figure out what might be the best fit, whether it's a personal plan or an employer plan, and ask them about the solo 401k, ask them about the benefits of this new platform. Okay, the last one here are our specialty plans. So we offer a health savings account as well as an education savings account, or a Coverdell ESA. HSAs and ESAs is how we commonly refer to these. HSAs are honestly one of the most tax advantageous accounts that there is out there. We like to call this the account that has the best of both worlds, because you can actually put in pre-tax money into this plan. So you make contributions, you get a tax deduction, you grow those funds, you invest it, right, into maybe real estate, maybe you partner it with your IRA, whatever it is, right? The HSA grows, and as long as you use it towards, the money's going towards qualified medical expenses, you can actually take out that money tax-free. So I said tax deferred going in, or pre-tax going in, tax-free coming out. Now you might be asking yourself, well, where are the taxes happening? If you're using it towards medical expenses as deemed by the IRS to be qualified, there's no taxes for the HSA. So that's what makes those so beneficial when it comes to tax savings. And the second one is the education savings account. So if you have, if you have children or maybe even grandchildren that you want to help save for their education, these are the accounts to do it with. Like I said, they can be invested the exact same way. They can be partnered with other IRAs, with your IRAs, to buy into real estate or do a fix and flip or a rental property, whatever it is. And education savings accounts can be used for really a wide range of different things, all the way from like elementary level education up through higher education, college, bachelor's degree, master's degree, right? So those can be very beneficial as well. And like I said, as compared to some of the other type of education savings plans like 529s, UPMAs, UGMAs, things like that, you have a little bit more flexibility with the ESA. Okay, so now investing with self-directed IRAs, we're going to be talking about what are maybe some different investment strategies, different ways you can structure the account, and some of the investment options that come along with the self-directed IRA. So what is considered a qualified medical expense with an HSA? That's a really good question. So HSAs, there are, I mean, those are there's a pretty wide range as well. Like it can cover anything from like eyeglasses, sometimes to, doctor's visits. It can also, really the main things that it won't cover would be cosmetic procedures, like a nose job, right? Something like that it wouldn't cover. Medical marijuana, there's a few things there. You could look it up. I believe it's on publication, what is it, 970 for qualified medical expenses. Oh, excuse me, 970 is for qualified education expenses. So you can use 970 for the ESA and publication 502 for the HSA. And that'll give you a whole list of the different qualified expenses for those. Great question, Brian. Okay. So, and y'all heard me talk about this a little bit already, but partnering the accounts together. Not a lot of people know that you can take your self-directed accounts, your maybe 3 different ESAs that you have for your children, you and your spouse's Roth IRAs, maybe your parents' IRAs, right? Your siblings could get involved. I mean, these really can be so powerful in partnering together. So, and especially the case study we'll talk about like a smaller investment, and maybe for those of you who just want to start from the ground up with an IRA, how you can still do that. But partnering IRAs together has been one of the most powerful wealth building tools my family has used, right? I've partnered, actually just to give you a little bit of background on me, my parents were real estate investors, still are. They kind of taught me at a very young age how successful you can be investing in real estate, and sort of sent me down this career path that I'm on now. But we've done some notes together between my parents, my sisters, my wife, that we have partnered together with our IRAs and all gotten, a percentage of the profit based on what we put into it. So one thing that you'll notice if you have, or I guess if you get started with your own real estate investments, or investing in promissory notes is a great way to look at it. Your self-directed IRA is going to have what we call a vesting, or essentially a name, right? Because it is almost treated as its own entity. That's part of the way that these assets are held and then these investments are made with the tax benefits, is it's done directly through the IRA. You don't like take money out of the account and then invest it in whatever it is. The IRA truly holds title to these properties, or to these notes, or private stock, right? Oil and gas investments, whatever it is. Okay. So the way that the vesting would look, especially using an account at Quest, would be Quest Trust Company, FBO, which stands for the benefit of Collin Taylor or John Smith, IRA number 1234567. Okay. If you were to partner these investments, we would use that same vesting. We would also add as to an undivided interest of whatever the percentage is, or as to an undivided blank percentage interest, to show the percentage that each account holds. Okay. So now that we've talked about some of the different ways that you can invest with these accounts, how you might be able to utilize them, what the benefits are, tax strategies, all of that. We do kind of want to, because this is for education, right? We also want to talk about some of the restrictions on these IRA accounts as well, so you have an understanding of what you can and cannot do. Now, we really break these down into 3 types of restrictions on the accounts: people restrictions, transaction restrictions, as well as investment restrictions, okay? So starting with people restrictions, we're talking about certain individuals who cannot be involved in IRA transactions. Those persons who cannot benefit from or enter into a transaction with your IRA. Now, this doesn't constitute all transactions. I already mentioned, right? And you might be already reading it. The disqualified people, who they are. It includes you, your spouse, your parents, grandparents, grandchildren, as well as their spouses, and any companies that these people either own, operate, manage, or are highly compensated by. The way that I kind of if that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, I try to put it in a little bit more English. So the disqualified persons are you as the account holder, your spouse, anybody up and down the family tree, as well as spouses of those below you, so like a son or daughter-in-law, and the companies that they are highly associated with, those that they own, control, manage, or highly compensated by. Now, you're probably asking, you just talked about partnering the accounts with yourselves or other people's IRAs, right? How do you still do that with these restrictions? So there are certain prohibited transactions, and basically it defines what these disqualified people are not allowed to do. They cannot buy, sell, trade, loan, or extend a service or a benefit even to the IRA or with the IRA. And also that works vice versa. The IRA cannot buy, sell, trade, loan, extend a service, provide a benefit to the disqualified person as well. Notice, though, all of these things, it require you to be on different sides of the transaction with your IRA. I'm the seller here to my IRA who's going to purchase this property, or maybe I'm using my IRA to loan to me, right? Different sides of the transaction. When you're partnering together, here are me and my IRA, we're going to partner in this investment to purchase this property. It can be okay when you are on the same side of the transaction. You cannot be on opposite sides. So that's kind of a good way to look at this. But those are the disqualified people, the prohibited transactions. Now let's also talk about the investment restrictions. It really comes down to 2 different types. Honestly, guys, the investment options and opportunities, that these accounts have are almost not quite limitless, but really, really broad. Most of the time, any investment that you can make personally, you can also do through an IRA. So life insurance contracts are one investment that an IRA cannot make, and the other is collectibles. So whether these are antiques, like an antique car, or sporting playing cards, jewelry, right? Those are all things that are considered to be antiques. Artwork is another one. Alcoholic beverages, so the IRA can also not invest into alcohol. Okay, but with that being said, what can I invest into with my IRA? I know I've already listed a ton of different things, but here are kind of some of the different investments that we see fairly commonly. So residential rental properties, whether you're doing a short-term rental, like Airbnb, vacation rentals, midterm rentals, even long-term rentals where you plan to have tenants that could be in there very long term. Fix and flips, real estate rehabs, those are popular. Commercial property we see, tax liens, I kind of mentioned those, tax liens, tax sales. We see people who will go to those auctions at their county and purchase, or rather use their IRA to purchase some of the properties at those auctions as well. Subject to investments, those are ones that people have had a lot of success with. We've also seen a lot of private entity deals. You can invest into LLCs, into partnerships, C corporations specifically, joint ventures. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And promissory notes, whether you're investing in secured or unsecured loans, mortgage notes, right? There are a ton that can be done on the lending side as well. And those are one way that you can invest a lot more passively in real estate as well. We see people who like to just lend to maybe other individuals in their real estate network, who need money for a rehab. And then you get a chunk of that. It's a lot more passive, but that asset is still maybe indirectly tied to the real estate market. Okay, so now that since we're talking about, how to take the next steps, I want to really give you the tools to not only take this information and this education, but really apply it. And where do you go from here? Step one is going to be open a self-directed IRA with Quest. Get started, right? There really is no better time than now to take those next steps. It's like, I commonly use the phrase that the best time to plant a tree was 100 years ago. Second best time is today. Okay. So if you really are serious about wanting to take that next step in your investing, taking that next step towards building your retirement, building your bucket of money, get serious, guys. I mean, open this account and learn and grow as you kind of go through your investments. So step one, open the IRA. Step two, fund the self-directed IRA, whether it's going to be from, other IRAs you have, or like I mentioned, an old 401k, or you're just going to make contributions to the plan. All of those are very viable options that we see people here do on a daily basis. And it can really, give you the ability to start making investments through the account now that you've got money in it. Okay. So step three is going to be locating your investment. Learn more. Look on our YouTube channel. Look on our education platform on our website. Like I said, we have a very, very robust education platform that you can learn from. Learn from on all different kinds of investments and learn from experts who have a ton of experience doing this. Okay. Figure out what you want to do. Locate that investment opportunity. Step four is now you need to actually submit the investment and all the documentation to us. This is something we'll certainly help you with in more detail in the process, but we make it very, very easy for you to go online, submit all your documents, give us the details about the asset, and hopefully turn around that funding within 24 to 48 hours. Okay. And then step five is Quest funds the investment. I already mentioned that. But we do turn it around pretty quick. So once you identify that real estate property and closing is coming up, we can be very, very efficient in getting these done. So that's kind of your 5-step process for what does it look like moving forward. Okay, let's see, Rebecca. Do we have any other questions before we keep going? I don't think so. No, we're good. Okay. Sorry. One thing I want to mention, y'all, too, please post any questions that you have down in the chat. That we have probably just a little bit more information after this, and then we'll get into a little bit of Q&A. That way, if you do have any questions, we'll kind of wrap it up with that. All right. So here's just a very brief case study that kind of explains how somebody might invest with a small account. All right. So we had Howard, who has a small Roth IRA. He heard one of our presentations recently, let's say, set up his account, and he put contributions into it. So this was a contribution limit for last year, say for somebody who's under 50, was $6,500 to $7,500 last year. Let's say in 2023, he made a contribution, put in $6,500, and wanted to invest into real estate. He found a house he could buy for $12,000. Now, a house for $12,000, what's wrong with it? It had actually been in a fire, and so the price and value was a result of that. But Howard, as an ex-firefighter, has experience rebuilding burnt down houses and kind of identifying, what to do with that. Where are the burns severe? What needs to be replaced? What needs to be rebuilt? So he knows how to handle that. He thinks the house, He thinks the house could have a lot of value if rehabbed, but it would take up to $60,000 to do this. I think my slide kind of got messed up here. Don't mind that. Oh, it also got messed up here. Apologies for that, y'all. We were trying to fix some of these kinks beforehand and ran out of time a little bit. But anyways, back to the content. He's thinking, I can purchase this for $12,000. Maybe it takes me, $60,000 to rehab it. I don't have that much in my IRA, but I think I can partner with myself and make this deal a success. So that's what he does. Howard partners with his IRA so that he owns 50% in the IRA account and 50% personally. This will allow him to close on the deal, and then he decides to bring in a money partner, say maybe a private money lender to help finance the rest and actually complete the project. And guys, this is where I'll kind of talk about it here in a second, but where you can not only utilize your own IRA for investing, but also other people's IRAs. Use maybe somebody in your network, use their self-directed IRA to take a private loan from, use it for your real estate project. You both get an investment out of it. It's really a win-win. So the project gets finished. He can now split the proceeds to whatever agreement, or maybe he's just paying back a loan to this private money lender or money partner. And this would allow his Roth IRA to grow and add to his real estate bucket, right, to his finances or money capital in the IRA. Another good exit strategy here would have been to wholesale it. Maybe just purchase it for $12,000, turn it around in a month for $15,000. That's a quick return on investment, guys. So that's another way you can utilize these accounts. But I mentioned this already, utilizing other people's IRAs. This can be a great way to really add additional capital, to partner, right, in investments, maybe mitigate some risk in having all of your money in a real estate property. That's one thing that scares some people. Partnering is a great way, a great solution to that. And honestly, other people's IRAs and self-directed IRAs can be a great solution to a lot of different things. I mean, you really can get creative in some of these different areas. So the borrower's perspective, okay, making money now. And this is where a lot of times we see people who like to do more passive investments, creating their own private financing resource, whether you're going to be on the lending side or on the private side. I mean, this private lending can be extremely beneficial for all different types of investors. There really are trillions of dollars in retirement accounts. I want to say, I heard from somebody recently that I think it's close to 60% of the wealth in America is in retirement accounts, IRAs, 401ks, things like that. So, I mean, there's a ton of money out there that may just be untapped, right? And you might be able to give somebody, as far as interest payments go, a much better return than the market is right now. And that is very attractive to a lot of people. You can even look up, we've done a ton of videos on how to access private money, how to build up your network for private money lending that you could look up, and some of those you could just search it up on our YouTube channel. But yeah, I mean, think about it. If there's $1 trillion out there in retirement accounts at every gathering, there's got to be millions, right, available for investing. So it's all about networking. It's who you know, right? So that's a really important part of all of this investing as well. Okay, so I think that is really all of the content I have. I'm going to let y'all type up any questions that you have. If not, I'll share my contact information at the end, and we're going to go through a few more things just before we get offline. But while I'm doing this, please put any questions you have down in the comments. So one thing is, I've talked about this already, right? The Quest difference. So here at Quest, we have, this is actually up to, I want to say 39 now, or maybe a little less than that, but somewhere between 35 and 40 board certified IRA services professionals, or CISPs, on our staff. People that went through a week-long training course, took an exam at the end, and it's a pretty intense course, to be completely frank. I want to say the the pass rating on that is like less than 30%, if I'm not mistaken. It's fairly low. So these are people who really understand not only IRAs, but also, a lot of times the employees here have their own experience in real estate investing. So we understand what you're trying to do. And I think that's really how we provide a lot of value to our clients. The other is our education and our events, right? We've already talked about it a little bit. Self-directed IRA Saturday is another one for maybe those of you who find it really hard to attend during the week. You can check out our Saturday classes. You can check out our socials that we do in person every quarter. The next ones we have coming up will be in February. So here in just about a week or two. Although February is this week, but I think the events are like second and third week of February. I have the dates for those here in a second. The National Networking Happy Hour, regardless of where you are in the country, maybe you can't make it to our in-person events to network there. Go ahead, hop on our happy hours. We do them the fourth Wednesday, of every month at 6:30 p.m. Central Time, 7:30 Eastern. You can join those. There's people from all different walks of life, whether they may be pitching a service, providing an investment opportunity, looking for lenders or private money borrowers, right? There are all kinds of people there. Highly encourage y'all to check that out. Power Play Tuesday, that's where y'all are at right now. And you can look on our YouTube channel for our recordings, right? This video, probably within a few minutes of us wrapping up here shortly, will be posted on our YouTube channel. If there was anything I said that you want to go back to, I highly encourage you to check that out. It's got webinars that we've done from years and years and years ago. So there are a ton of resources there. This is February's social, and I guess the social that Quest is doing for the first quarter of 2024. This is called the Dynamic Duos. And it's basically surrounding couples that partner together in specifically real estate, but alternative investments in general. Power couples, right? So I think most of the couples that we have joining us are husband and wife. But regardless of whether you're husband and wife or brother and sister or best friends, right, you really will be able to take a lot out of this. How to manage the personal relationship along with the business relationship. So that's kind of going to be our education portion, but we'll have food, we will have drinks, we will have a ton of networking. I really encourage y'all to sign up for these. So actually the one in Austin is going to be on Thursday, February 1st. Dallas will be on February 6th, and then Houston on February 8th. Y'all can register for these, and I think Rebecca is posting a link here where you can register on our website. Check it out right now. Go ahead and get registered. It is completely free. It's not going to cost you anything to register, and it absolutely doesn't hurt you if you register and then say, oh, I'm actually not going to be able to make it, or I need to, watch online. Dallas and Houston will be you can watch from online, but we really highly encourage y'all to come out in person. So register for those, even if you're not entirely sure if you're going to be able to make it yet. Like I said, it doesn't hurt at all. So this I believe this is the last slide I have, maybe the last event I have, is the Quest Expo. I don't want to take up, we're getting close to 1 o'clock here. The Expo is going to be one of the, really probably maybe the biggest alternative investment conference of the year. This is something that we do probably about once every other year. The last one was in September of 2022. So the next Quest Expo will be up in Las Colinas, which I believe is just north. I'm a Houston guy, but I think it's just north of Fort Worth, at the Irving Convention Center there in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It'll be in June. We are bringing in speakers and experts and vendors, right? Service providers from all across the country. People who really know what they're talking about, really have a ton of experience. There will be networking opportunities. There will be a ton of education, Q&A sessions. I would, if you're, like I said, if you're serious about investing and learning investing for alternative, for real estate, you need to be here. I can even give you if y'all like want to reach out to me for tickets, I think Rebecca just posted a link as well. But let me know. You can shoot me an email. And I think I might have my, let's see, here's our general email. But let us know. You can email me at collin.taylor@questrust.com, and I'll put that in the comments as well. But the expo is really going to be a huge event. We're hoping to have over 1,000 people there this year. And then the last one. This is a promotion that is we're running through Wednesday, through the end of the month. So the last chance to take advantage of it is today or tomorrow. But if you do want to set up an account, like I said, I would highly encourage you just to do it. And for a limited time, we are actually setting up accounts for only $50. It typically costs $100 to establish an IRA with us. So there's a 50% discount on setting up an account with us if you do it before the end of January. So you guys can take advantage of that. And then the last thing is, here's our contact information. Please scan the QR code to schedule an appointment with myself, one of the other IRA specialists. You can shoot me an email. You can always just call that number and ask to speak with Collin. Like I said, we have a non-automated phone line. So all of these are really great resources to actually get in touch with an IRA specialist and figure out what you need to do to take those next steps, or what IRA might be the most beneficial for you. Regardless of what your questions are, we're here to help you in any way that we can. So with that, I think we might have had one more question. Where can we find the videos on private money? Thanks. John, you can honestly just go to our YouTube channel. There's a little search button on the right where you can just look up private money lending. If you're having issues with that, shoot me an email. I would be happy to give you like a very specific playlist with a ton of different videos that you can watch. And if there's nothing else, I want to say thank you so much, everyone, for your time today. Like I said, I love giving presentations, providing education to the public, and trying to help people on their investment journey. So please utilize us. Pick our brains. We're happy to help with anything that we can. Our contact information is here. You can look us up on Google, right, and find us that way too. But we really look forward to helping you guys. I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their Tuesday, the rest of the week, and look forward to helping you all in the future. Thanks, everybody.